Hey, I'm TheLoopyAlchemist, and welcome back to Let's Play Skyrim. Alright, well, the reason there's been a pretty recent lull in the amount of episodes I've been able to get out is because, well, GTA 5 got released, and I've just been, way too busy playing that to bother working on this LP. But don't worry, I'm still going to keep making episodes as timely as I can. Alright, well, last time we just got to Riverwood and sat around and talked for a bit, and I've got some disease, and that's not good. But I'm well rested, so I should be able to make it to Whiterun alright. Now we'll just, these guys seem like pretty nice people, so I'm not going to completely ransack the house looking for supplies. And it's like 5 a.m., I think. It's pretty ridiculous and ridiculously early, but oh well, I'd like to get a head start on these things. You know, come to think of it, maybe I should have waited a few more hours so it's a bit more light out. But, oh well, I've got a sword, I should be pretty good. Now, wolves is the only real thing I have to worry about at the moment. I mean, technically I'm still an Imperial fugitive or whatever I think, but hey, I'm dressed like a scout, so I should be okay. And wow, the sky just looks so pretty right now, and again, I think there's more. I don't know, well, I guess I just fast travel a lot later on in the game, so maybe I just don't quite notice, like, all the, like, that one elk and the bunny that kind of went past, but it just seems like they're more abundant on this trail than anywhere else. But I don't know, I just kind of walk along this one the most, so I could very easily be wrong about that. Alright, well, I guess technically our objective is to get to the Jarl of Whiterun and get him to send some soldiers over to Riverwood, just in case a dragon attacks, because, yeah, I just never get tired of those kill animations, just because, like, if a dragon attacks, they might be able to drive it off, but, I don't know, it kind of almost seems like the, during the Cold War, the duck and cover under the desks, like, to avoid a nuclear blast. Like, I don't know, to me it seems like sending soldiers out there is more of just a measure to reduce panic than to really stop a dragon. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's a bit of a unfair comparison, and no, I'm not going to join the Stormcloak Rebellion, because dragons can be killed, and, I mean, the city guard, it's technically able of, you know, it might be able to handle one without me. Like, you never know, but it would take a lot of them. But yeah, either way, Riverwood's kind of screwed if a dragon attacks. You know, game-wise, they're not by a long shot, but I'm just saying if this was, like, actually real, I'll be doing that quite a bit throughout this LP. Just making comments on stuff and practicality and everything, until I really find a good subject to talk about. If there's any random lore thing you'd just like me to blab about, like, post it in the comments, because I'd be happy to. And apparently you can not fight and they'll, like, yell at you for being a coward or whatever, but still invite you to join the companions. I think really one blow is all you need to make it register or whatever, but anyways, where is what's-her-face? She's... oh, here we are. Yeah, what is a shield brother? Alright, well, these, of course, are the companions. Said to be descended, well, at least in spirit, and that makes sense, from Yggdrasil, who came from Atmora. He was supposedly the first guy to come from Atmora and really start the Nedic migration, or Nedic. Oh well, I don't really care about how you pronounce these things. So anyways, that's how the story goes in the books, the Song of Their Return and everything. Exactly how much is myth and how much is reality, it's kind of hard to separate, because if we look at Tiber Septim, we've got the Orthodox and unorthodox versions. I've read some speculation on forums that maybe this shift was kind of more gradual, and Yggdrasil is just kind of a popular folktale behind it. I just, I don't know, like, I can kind of see how they might want to do that a bit, but from all the sources we have, I think I'm going to stick with the more epic Yggdrasil version, just because we actually have some archaeological evidence. We've got Yggdrasil's own tome, and we've got Sarkel. It's like S2A's RTH. Anyways, you know the place I'm talking about, the one College of Winterhold quest line, that place where we first find the Eye of Magnus. That settlement was first built by the first Natick migrants over into Tamriel. So Yggdrasil and his people, and it's because of the Eye of Magnus, we think, or well, it might not exactly be that, or it might just be the fact that the humans were becoming too numerous, that the Snow Elves, also called the Falmor, got uncomfortable and launched the massive attack on them, also called the Night of Tears, in which they're all killed except for Yggdrasil and I think 2 of his sons, but either way, a couple of his buddies, who make it back to Atmora, get an army, and those 500 companions of Yggdrasil are the companions that, well, basically that's how the whole thing started. Now, that's just right off the top of my head. I do know this stuff pretty well, but I'm not 100% infallible. Granted, pretty damn near close, though. So, I don't know, I'd probably double check all those facts before really repeating it to anyone, but that's just kind of the gist of how this thing happened. Alright, Dragon Attack. So now, the NSA is just gonna stop and frisk me or whatever, but you know what, I'm used to it at this point. Okay, so we'll take care of all of our business right here, and yeah. By the way, another interesting thing to go into is, were the Nades from Atmora really the first humans on Tamriel? Because we do know that we have a couple local peoples as well that are native to Tamriel. We of course have the Kothringi and Blackmarsh, which is the only one I can think of right off of the top of my head, but I do remember having read somewhere, I can't cite the source, so I don't know, hope if anyone's really curious, I should be able to track it down, that we actually did have some people living in Hammerfell, Cyrodiil, I think, and maybe High Rock. So exactly what makes a Nade, or Need again, either pronunciation, whatever, it's kind of debatable. It's, the way I think of it, is just kind of a blanket term for any race of men that isn't Redguard prior to, I guess, the real establishment of men in Tamriel. Well, maybe around until the First Era, because that's when we start to get really concrete sources. Or, well, more concrete, not quite really concrete. Also, interesting fun fact, the reason Yggdrasil actually left Atmora was because due to a bloody civil war. And it must have been, there's 2 ways to look at it. It might have been like really, really bad, like so bad he had to get off the continent, or just screw this, I don't want to fight, and hey, there's another continent down here I can go try to colonize for myself. So, I don't know, it's kind of a fun thing to speculate over. Huh. Yeah, another thing I need to say, I'm like the most boring normal guy ever, but, like, normally during commentary, but once you get me on, like, a lore topic or anything, like, I can just keep going. And now we meet the resident, court wizard, who's kind of a prick. Yeah, he thinks he knows a lot about the Dragon War. You should just watch my episode on it. But yeah, long story short, this guy is going to send us into Bleak Falls Barrow, the first, well, the first kind of real quest dungeon we have to go through, and it won't take us that long to go through it. I'll have a lot more to say about the Dragon War and everything later on. Um, and whatnot. I wonder if that soul gem on that map-looking thing right there, is that just something sitting on his table, or is he like using that as a paperweight? Like, I don't know. I don't think Dragon's Reach, this castle-y palace type thing we're in right now, would be that drafty, but you never know for something that old. And speaking of which, this weather can be quite hard on older materials, so we'd really want to get that into a nice temperature-controlled environment. I've actually worked at museums before, and bottom line, leaving that thing out there is just a massive, you just don't do that. But then again, this is Skyrim, and this guy appears to be drinking on the job. He's got that nice goblet right next to his plate over there, so clearly he eats here too while he's working on that. And I mean, there's a massive table like 5 steps from your office type workshop thing. You must be really lazy, and you have automatically earned my respect for that. I wonder how warm those robes are. Like, I don't know, I think the most weather appropriate uniform that, well, not uniform, well, armor that you have here is probably, well, I don't know, there's a lot of exposed skin on the fur armor. What I'd probably do is, I'd probably wear one of those robes, or one of the more fancy clothes thing, you know what I'm talking about, and then that fur armor over top. Like, we're talking winter conditions here, like, not just, like, not nice sunny, but anyways, well, that was basically walking from point A to point B, and a lot of random stuff on my part. So, I'm TheLoopyAlchemist, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.